Hey man, we're live from Wigan Studio for a postcast of the Jaguars' victorious preseason game 1 versus the Chiefs, and the youngins stepped up. Let's get to it. Just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You heard what she said. It's your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We always thank you for making us your first listen. They won. The Jaguars won. Now we're going to temper all of this, and we're going to let you know it was a preseason game. But there were some things that we wanted to see happen, and those things happened. So this is what we have to analyze right now. It's a preseason game. We have to temper it a little bit. We have to understand that things were a little vanilla. The Chiefs took their starters out after one series on both sides of the ball. Doesn't matter. It could have been worse, like it was worse in some games in preseasons past. Tonight, we saw a lot of stuff. So we're not going to peacock. We're not going to sit here and brag too much. But what I am going to do is I'm going to play you a small clip of something I said on yesterday's show. I want to see Mac Jones have a good showing, so that some of the questions about his arm strength can kind of go away a little bit. Tank Bigsby. I want Tank Bigsby. I think Tank Bigsby has a chance to really gain some confidence in a real game. Had a rocky start last year, and the reason why is because I think he was just trying too hard and he was a little anxious. Maybe if Tank Bigsby can get off to a better start in the preseason and show his value, I think it'll be good for him, and I think it'll be good for the Jacksonville Jaguars because he gives them a little bit more size and can pound on. I want to see Mac Jones. Yeah, you see that? So that's what we said the other day. Did that happen? Don't tell me what I said the other day was actually going to happen, right? Or it actually did happen. It actually did occur. It happened. Tank Bigsby played well, and Mac Jones played well and showed exactly what we needed to see to gain confidence out of both the backup quarterback as well as the number 2 running back, who's going to be the kind of guy that pounds you to death. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start talking about the playmakers that showed up, even including the starters. We're going to show you where the development has worked out in the second half of this postcast. Then we're going to talk about little Cam Little with the big leg. That's right. Little big leg is what I'm going to call him from now on, because he damn near made a 62-yard field goal, but it feels good for another reason. All right, so let's get to some of the particulars about the game tonight. I know most of y'all saw it. Mac Jones was 9 out of 11 for 98 yards. C.J. Beathard was 7 out of 14 for $125 and a touchdown. A very nice pass and catch to Devin Duvernay, another newcomer. Somebody, I saw somebody say Jamal Agnew wouldn't have caught that. All right, you're probably right. But you see why they brought certain guys in. Trevor Lawrence, 3 or 4 for 42 yards and a touchdown. I love the fact that the backs got going. Tank Bigsby with three carries for 28 yards. Dearness Johnson, 5 carries for 31 yards. Jalen Jackson, 5 carries for 29 yards. I thought Jalen Jackson ran the ball with a lot of power and is a guy who can get some first downs and can help you, especially if you start having injuries. How about Josiah DeGuara, who has looked very, very good at training camp, but he was able to transfer that and translate that into actual game tape. Brian Thomas Jr., he did what we think he's going to do. He caught one pass for 41 yards, and he really got interfered on it, and he played through it. So there's your big physical wide receiver. There's your big physical wide receiver that they drafted in the first round, and there he is right there doing exactly what he was drafted to do. Gabe Davis. What did I tell ever since I said the Jaguars need to find someone who can attack the seam, right? First, it wasn't necessarily a seam route. It was a little bit of a dig, but it was 20 yards dead in the middle of the field on the hash marks. And that's what Gabe Davis brings to this team. Luke Farrell continued to impress, caught a nice 13-yarder to extend the drive on that touchdown drive. And then Travis Etienne, he ran the route that my buddy James Coleman says every running back runs it, right? Go out, come in, run towards the goalpost. It looks like a little skinny post. There's a little in cut. Touchdown. That's what the Jacksonville Jaguars have to do. They have to get the ball into the end zone when they get close to the end zone, something they have not done very good at or have not been very good at in the past. My hero of the day, though, is Parker Washington. We have talked about him, talked about how the coaches have raved about him, talked about how his body looks a little different, how he looks a little niftier, a little quicker. And guess what? He showed it on the football field. He was able to do that with a 70-some-odd yard kickoff return. And then Tank Bigsby later on almost broke one for a touchdown. In fact, if he don't trip over his own feet, he does. He got tripped and didn't keep his balance after that. Took a couple of more steps. But he was about to cut back on the kicker, and that kicker wasn't going to try to get in his way. That would have gone for a touchdown. The special teams, every single part of this team really, really did play well. Now, if we go back to when it was ones on ones, when the Jaguars on offense and when the Jaguars on defense, I think they gave up a little bit too much stuff in the run game. New scheme, guys are figuring out where to be. A couple of guys were wide open to extend drives, but it is Patrick Mahomes. It is a new defense. Guys are trying to figure some things out. And also remember, on those runs up the middle, Eric Armstead isn't there. So that's going to be a big difference. Then when you flip it around, there was some pressure on the right-hand side. Trevor ended up, there's a lot of debate about who was open. Yeah, the guys was open. We saw it from the press box. There was a couple of guys open. It wasn't about whether or not the reads were correct or nothing. It was Trevor holding on to the ball, but then there was just pressure from the right side, and as he's rolling out, he got hit. Remember, Anton Harrison will be there. Okay. Just about everyone we mentioned that we wanted to see something from. Yasir Abdullah played well, got a sack, and then another tackle, an active tackle where he's going to be playing in space a lot this year. Nice football play. I mean, he did exactly what the coaches wanted to see. The DBs gave up some catches, but you notice they tackled really, really well, and they were very, very close. Ryan Nielsen, the defensive coordinator, has said they ain't going to win every rep, but you still have to be where you're supposed to be. You still have to be close. Don't give up anything easy, and that's exactly what they were. Chad Muma had a couple of big hits where he was flowing to the ball. He looks like he's improved. There's a chance that we got to get Brenton Strange to come around now. We got to get him. He did catch a ball later on in the game, but there's a chance that little draft last year can be sneaky good because the development is starting to show from guys. We already know Anton Harrison is good. I think he's going to have a chance to be an all-pro at some point in his career. We all know that. So having these other guys, Parker Washington, Tank Bigsby, having them step up, Yasir Abdullah, they did what they were supposed to do. Jaguars win the game 26-13. Like I said, we're going to temper it a little bit. We're going to pause. We're going to hold it down a little bit. We ain't going to get too excited, but there was two things that could have happened. They could have looked bad and they could have looked good, and they looked good in all phases of the game, right? So there's really, really nothing to complain about. Let's just say, okay, we carried it from practice to a preseason game. Now, hopefully they can carry it from a preseason game to the regular season, because there was nothing that we saw about this team last year that surprised anybody that watched them in training camp. I'm talking about on a daily basis. No, there's nothing that surprises you. The last couple of years, everything that you saw that jumped up and bit them was something. And if you heard the Locked On Jaguars podcast enough, you'd know that it was something that was being said about them in the preseason. So at least after one game, ain't nothing bad going to be said about the Jaguars. We're going to talk more about some good things, some more young players, take a peek at what some of the veterans did, the guys that you already expect to play real well. We'll do it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. But first, we got to let you know about the Game Time app. That's right, man. Game Time is the absolute truth, because the one thing you'll never, ever, ever, ever hear from Game Time, where you buy tickets even at the last minute, you will never, ever hear anybody say, your lack of planning is not my emergency. That is nonsense. Game Time They prioritize last minute deals where you can save up to 60% off on buying last minute tickets for sports events, concerts, comedy, theater, all of that stuff. They got zone deals, all in pricing, seat views before you purchase your tickets. And I'm telling you, man, it's almost like if you had to wait to payday, don't worry about it, brother, because Game Time is there for you. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code. Let me spell that for you. LOCKEDONNFL. All one word, Locked On NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price. It's always guaranteed. And the sponsor for today's show is also LinkedIn, man. LinkedIn Talent Solutions can help you if you have a small business. If you have a small business and you don't have time to do the hiring for that business, well, you know what? Just go to LinkedIn. That's right. It's not just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. If you're hiring for a small business, you want to find professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, man. Here's what you do. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Of course, terms and conditions apply. If you own a small business, there's only one place you need to go to help you find the right employees, and that is LinkedIn. All right. It's not really the second half because I kind of overshot the runway a little bit, but I got a few more minutes to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to talk about something that's this kicker, man. How many times have I said on Locked On Jaguars over the last few years, man, I just wish we could get a consistent kicker, not some old dude that started out hot and then the ball started going out east when he was trying to kick field goals, not a guy who's okay, is just as average as the day is long and the ball almost goes in and it doesn't fire off of his foot. No, I'm talking about a dude that when the ball comes off of his foot, it looks like it was shot out of a cannon. Little Cam, that's right, or Cam Little with the big leg. Dude is 6'1", 172 pounds, but has a bazooka underneath his right knee. And he almost made a 62-yarder today. The field goals that he did make, he made them look easy. The 62-yarder that he missed would have been good if it was a little straighter. It would have been good. I know if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. I know that. But what I'm telling you is that kick, distance-wise, would have been good from 70 or 72 if he straightens it out a little bit. We're going to have a lot of fun with Cam Little. And I think the Jaguars found something that they can hold on to for a long, long time. They got this kid out of Arkansas, and he's a rookie, man, and I'm telling you. A lot of people are talking about Parker Washington. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people in the comments are talking about Parker Washington. I told you when we were out there every day, I said, man, that dude looks a little different. He looks a little different. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm not writing Christian Kirk off. Hell no. Christian Kirk's a part of this team, and I hope he's a part of this team for a few minutes. But Parker Washington is going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar 4 or 5 years from now. He's just that kind of guy. His body type and with his skill set, he's tailor-made for those kickoff rules. And he also is hard to tackle. He caught a ball and broke a tackle. He has his tree trunk. He might have the biggest legs out of anybody. And look, I ain't looking at the dude's legs, but I'm kind of telling you that the dude's legs are like tree trunks, right? And he has to stretch them out a whole lot. He's always out there early. He's always stretching because he has those kind of legs that look like them muscles are just always on tilt and they're ready to do something they don't want to do. But he is a really, really good football player, man. Just a football playing Jesse. And guy says an interesting word choice. Man, leave me alone, man. It's late. But listen, I couldn't be more and more impressed because the things that they wanted to accomplish, it seems like they have got a lot of it accomplished with the drafting and developing, bringing along guys. You saw them use a lot of people. Doug Peterson talked about it in the presser after the game that I just peeked out, where You got to have all of these guys ready to play, and there can't be a fall off. Now, does that mean like every week they're going to be playing all these backups? No, but they probably will have a little bit of a rotation, because if you notice late in games, the Jaguars used to get worn down. All the games that they lost, they got worn down, and people started just gashing them. And you also, those busted plays, that comes as a result of fatigue. Yeah. You ever seen a track guy run and he's losing, and the first thing he does, he panics and he tries to run too fast, and once you break technique, it's a wrap. When you break technique because you're tired or you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So the Jaguars look like they're trying to fix that, right? They also look like they'll work really, really hard to fix going from good practices to good preseason games. The next step is to go from good preseason games and good practices to good regular season games. And I think it's a mindset, and I think it starts early, and early is right now. So that's what we're talking about. Joint practices with Tampa Bay coming up this week. We'll be there. We'll give you all of the stuff from inside Jaguars training camp. We'll hit you with social media updates each and every single day. Hit you with some shorts. Hit you with podcasts, post-practice podcasts, because I know you want to get the information as soon as you can. But that's what we do here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. And like I say, we always make sure to appreciate you being our first listener. Make us your first listener and become an everydayer. Make sure you go to YouTube, hit the YouTube like button, subscribe, and then hit the bell so you receive notifications each and every time you get we drop an episode. And then wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you do the exact same thing. Check in so you don't miss. Thank you for making us your first listen today. Now go listen to Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast, because y'all got all those drafts coming up this weekend and next weekend. Get daily insight to the best fantasy draft strategies so you can win your league this season. You can find the link to Locked On Fantasy Football in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you're listening in the car, drive safely. Make sure you make it to your destination. And we will see you again very, very soon here on Locked On Jaguars. And like I said, we always thank you for making us your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars. Y'all take care of each other, and I'll do the same thing.